Hello and welcome back to some more Donkey Kong Country 2. It's me, Joey, again with my yearly update. Also, happy Christmas, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to say, or any other holiday you celebrate at this time of year. It's Donkey Kong Country 2. We know the game by now. I'm going to play on the keyboard because I'm a pleb and I don't want to get my controller out. And I'm just going to talk about random things that I want to talk about. Okay, so that's jump. Where is run? That's run. Alright, it's fine, I guess. Okay. If it's no good, I'll just get a controller out. Yeah, so I was going to talk about various things that are going on in my life and my channel update and everything like that. So, where are we at the end of 2020 compared to the end of 2019? Well, the whole world went to hell. That was fun. For various reasons I'm not going to go into, besides outside of the global pandemic, you know. So that's pretty great. As for my channel, not much has changed. I'm still uploading a video every day. I've officially, since I've got a backlog, already got into the new year of videos, so that's perfectly fine. I've got videos into January already. I like that a lot. That's good. Now we're going to have an issue where, in the UK at least, we might not be out of lockdown until, you know, January, February. So although I'm at work right now, which is the next thing I want to talk about, I won't have a lot of things to do until maybe February, if even then. But hopefully online classes will still work, so I'll still be able to go to them. So let's talk about that, shall we? Last time we spoke, I was in a pretty, I'd say I was mood-wise, out of 10, let's say what, like a 5. I'm never going to be a 10, like ever. That's just not who I am. But let's say I was like a 5 last time. This year round, I'm probably like a 7. So it's a lot better than the 5. Damn you, bug. You up there or down here? Sorry. Right, yeah. I'm probably like a 7 out of 10 now, which is a lot better, I'd say. And the reason why for that is because last time I was doing voluntary work, and this time I'm doing the same job I was doing before, except getting paid for it, which is pretty cool. So what I do is I'm a teacher in, well, a learning support assistant technically, in adult education. The reason why I wanted to do adult education and not, like, you know, regular bum standard education is because, well, that's not going to work with the keyboard, because I wanted to teach people who actually wanted to be there. A lot of the problem in schools, at least in this country, is that a lot of kids, they don't give a fuck. They don't want to be there. They'd rather be on their phone or playing Fortnite or something, with no shame in that. I would have rather played Mario 64 than been at school myself, but there's just like a lack of care. And so teaching adults who want to be there to get a better job or go to university or whatever they want to do means that they're much more likely to participate and show up and be happy and not give you grief, which is very cool. I like that. So that's the main reason. But then you've also got, you know, the enjoyment. I actually don't hate it. So for 4 years, you might not know, for 4 years I did voluntary work at the adult education place to make sure that I liked doing it, because I'm really strange and I can't do something if I don't feel like I'm doing it for a good reason, and just getting money is not a good reason to me. So I can't do something if all I'm doing it for is the money. So I thought the way to test that is do it voluntarily, and if you can still manage to enjoy it after doing it for no money, then you're probably going to be okay when you do it for money instead. You're not going to like dampen the experience or something because you're getting paid now, which turned out to be the case. So I started work in March, like got my job, went through the interview process. It was pretty fun, and then I did that in March, and then literally 2 weeks after that, I was in my second week. The global pandemic happened and the world set on fire, and it was, you know, pretty cool. I'm being facetious, obviously. So I had to stop, and then until June, I basically wasn't doing anything. I was still getting paid, like, which I suppose to some people is like, well, get in. glorious, but I actually wanted to do work. I didn't want to do nothing. So, you fucker. So, yes, I was working, and then in June, I started getting some more like online things to do, because we're teaching online now, and so a lot of the tutors and whatever aren't used to teaching online. It's a new world for them. And so, for them, it's a whole different thing they have to learn how to do. The teaching part's fine, but the, you know, getting online using Google to do classrooms and all that stuff is like alien. So for them, having someone like me who's, well, I wouldn't say great, but relatively okay at computers, is useful to them. I'm young-ish. I'm getting older now, but I'm youngish compared to a lot of them, and I'm more versed in technology than they are, so it's a big help for them. So I've made myself useful. I've found a little niche. I'd much rather be doing it fucking badly. I'd much rather be doing actual teaching stuff. But for now, I don't mind doing the online things until the world becomes a little bit more, you're not going to hurt me again, a little bit more normal. And once the world gets a bit more normal, then we can proceed apace with our regularly scheduled bullshittery. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I've been working. I've been able to buy bits for my computer that I'd like, and next year I'm going to buy some more bits for my computer so I can do better uploads and whatever. Because although this doesn't, let's be honest, it doesn't earn me essentially any money really. Like Tio has been very helpful and supported me and shown, you know, put his money in the ring and said, look, I like what you're doing, I'd like to support you for it, but you know, he's a busy guy just like everyone else is, and you know, it's one of those things where it's more the gesture itself than the money value. The money value is not the main part, it's that he wants to do it, and that's kind of cool, and I like that a lot. But then you've got, you know, everyone else on the platform putting, you know, mental thumbnails that don't make any sense and clickbaiting people, and I don't clickbaiting people and everything else, and that's apparently what gets the views. And so if I wanted to make this serious, I'd have to do that kind of thing, and I'm just not that person. I don't want to play the game, as it were, or if I do, I want to play it by the rules that I define, not by the rules that have been defined by the people who are successful. I don't want to have to debase myself and essentially just go, oh yeah, here's this bullshit that's not true, or exaggerate the point of the video when I'm not an exaggerated person. I'm a bit mental, but I don't like to fabricate things, so I'm not going to put in any fake emotion or fake feeling when there isn't any there. That's better. And so that's just how I am. So I want to do that. And so if I ever do get popular on YouTube, it'll be more with luck than judgment, because I'm also not going to go around trying to network and sell myself, because I'm notoriously bad at it. I don't know what to say or how to sell myself in a good way. God knows. That's not supposed to happen. So I'm not very good at that kind of thing. So it's important to know what you're good at and what you're not. I'm just about okay at games, to be honest. I'm a lot worse than I thought I was. After the advent of the internet, and you get to see people who are actually really good do things, you realise you're not all that good after all. But I'd say I'm, average? Maybe a bit above average? Maybe. So I'll take that. Also, if you couldn't tell, this isn't scripted, I just ramble on and talk. I'm probably going to talk for about half an hour or something. Just about what's been going on and how I'm feeling about it all. And then there's also the argument, well, just go on Twitch instead. But I tried that. It's not really for me. I like the idea of, I've said this last year, the idea of being able to edit your mistakes and, you know, cut dead air if you want to. And be able to, you could do that with a VOD, I suppose, but it's not the same thing. I don't like the live experience so much, especially since I don't really use Twitch as a platform to watch things either. I watch a few people. There's someone I watch, her name is Cast Iris. She's a pretty cool streamer who's kind of like me in the style of like my kind of thing. Like, it's not exaggerated at all. It's very chill. I'd say she's more chill than I am. I'm much more uptight about my own mistakes. For example, I hate doing things wrong, and I'm quick to get frustrated with myself. Whereas she's very, very calm and just plays the games and just enjoys it. Plays all sorts of different things. She's on Twitch, so check her out if you want to. Besides that, you know, I watch like some vaguely popular people that people might have heard of, but not any like major people. Am I gonna have to? Okay, it's not gonna be worth it to use Squitter because of the controls on the keyboard. I pressed the wrong button to do the spin. Yes. So there are a few people I watch and I enjoy content, but it's mostly YouTube still. I'm one of those old people who's not going to ever move on from YouTube. Because I'm like, I don't like it. I like the way it used to be. On the YouTube days with the Let's Plays. So, you know, I still watch people like raocow and everyone who's only ever done Let's Plays and is the same since he's ever been. And that's the kind of thing I like. I like the consistency of like, this is the person. This is what they do. They've always done it. They're likely always going to do it. And they haven't changed their format too much because they don't care about the numbers so much. They have a stout... I'd much rather, as like an aside, I'd much rather have like 100 people who watch everything I do and just like me as a person so they don't care what I play, rather than 1,000 or 1,000,000 people who might watch one video and then 10 of them watch the next one and then 100 watch the next. It's just like up and down. The consistency is important to me, so I like schedules and I like structure and all that kind of thing. So, you know, that's why YouTube's also good, because I don't have to commit 8 hours a day to it. I end up committing 3 or 4 a day to it, you know, with the editing and the uploading and everything. But most of that is passive. The upload I don't have to be there for. I just set it going and set it up. You know, do the descriptions, do the tags, which you don't even have to do anymore, because apparently they don't affect the algorithm at all, which is great. Sarcasm. But you've got the whole situation with YouTube is kind of a mess, to be honest. I'll go into it in a little bit, but yeah, and then uploading the videos, I just have to set the titles and then leave it going. Rendering the videos, I do the editing. For example, in the FF5 series, which is going on right now, which you should watch because it's fun. I like FF5 a lot. It's not my favourite Final Fantasy, but it's pretty good. It's a lot more customizable than a lot of them are. Now, I edit out every battle that you haven't, like, that isn't new. So, for example, if I fight this bee, the first time I fight the bee, you'll see it. Every other time I fight that same bee, you won't see it. And so that's a lot of editing. You know, it's a little bit of editing that takes 15 seconds, but you have to do that 100 times. So, it's suddenly that fucking bird sniped me. That's suddenly a lot of editing, actually. And you don't think about it when you're doing it, but then you realise, I've been editing this for an hour. This hour-long video is going to be edited for an hour. And then it's going to be rendered for, you know, 20, 30 minutes, because I've got a fairly decent rendering computer now. And it's going to be uploaded for another half an hour to 45 minutes, and that's going to, you know, so it's suddenly 2 hours. So I could spend a whole day just uploading, and that's all I do. Like for this video, for example, I'm probably going to... This one's on the upstairs computer, which I'm going to upgrade eventually. So right now it'll probably take as long to render as it does to record, which in downstairs computer is about half as long to render as it does to record. So that's like part of the process that people don't really think about. I think, and it's the same for all big streamers, except all big YouTubers as well. Except big YouTubers will have their own editors most of the time, which will spend 8 hours rendering it, 30, you know, like an hour of footage down to 10 minutes, and that's a lot. Like that's a much higher level of skill than what I'm doing. This is like low-level skill. I'm just editing, putting fades in, and trying to make the sound levels sound okay. That's not hard. Doing 1,000 cuts on multiple perspectives and, you know, doing zooms and flashes, and that's the stuff that gets people interested. That takes skill. So don't ever let me or anyone else say that editors have it easy, because it's really, really difficult to get something that will work with the algorithms and get the kids watching, which is the biggest demographic, which is definitely not my demographic. Not only because I don't want them to be, but because my videos are always like an hour long, and they're of RPGs, which are not the most popular content. and I'm, you know, not necessarily verbose, but I'm definitely someone who will just talk about things to do with the game. I'm not necessarily talking about interesting things, I'm just talking about what's going on in the game, how I'm feeling about it, and all that kind of stuff. And so that will have an effect on the amount of viewers I get. The sweet spot is about 20 minutes, I think, for a video. And people have said to me before, mainly my family, because my younger brother's clued in on this stuff too. For a while, he was more successful as a YouTuber than I was, but he decided he wanted to do like actual quote-unquote real work, so he did that instead. But you've got people who do this kind of thing all the time, and he tells me, well, why don't you just make your videos like, you know, 20 minutes long each? So you've got the same amount of footage, and since you're not like editing it, you've got the same amount of people actually more people should watch it. You get 3 times as much content out of the same video, because you get 3 days worth if you're doing one a day, instead of 1 day's worth out of an hour. So if you have a 3-hour block, you could get 6 videos or 9 videos done rather than just 3. And the reasons that I don't do it, it's not that complicated really. Partly because it's more effort, I'll be honest, but also because I'm kind of like, yeah, but it's not the kind of video that I would want to watch. I don't like watching these 20-minute super cut, even the well-edited ones, because I'm just like, yeah, but I want to see all the boring shit. I'm interested as a person in all the stuff that's not interesting, because if you give me an hour and let me skip through it if I want to, then I'll do that. If you give me 20 minutes and you edit it, I'm still going to skip through it, except now I'm going to miss things. Or miss more things. Whereas if I can see on the tracker this is an hour and then this 5 minutes is like stuff that I don't really care about, it's like story stuff or whatever that I'm not interested in, then I can skip that. Am I tying that okay? Yeah, good. So that's the sort of thing that I think about a lot. And I think Twitch would be better for my kind of content, to be honest, because it's long form. People on the platform are more used to long form content. They're used to you playing through things for, 8 hours at a time. The problem with that is I have the disconnect in my brain between being able to do it without getting burnt out and running out of things to say, and being super duper incredibly self-conscious at all times about how I'm coming across, what I'm saying. If I'm making any mistakes, it's going to get to me. I can't edit them out. They're there for all the time, and immemorial. People watching me, make fun of me or whatever. You don't have to deal with the instant feedback or the lack of it, which can also be crippling as a creator. I would say it's, maybe people disagree, I would say it's worse to get no feedback than negative feedback. No engagement at all is worse in my mind than loads of engagement, even if everyone hates you, because you still get engagement. And as far as the YouTube algorithm is concerned, for example, if we go back to YouTube, they don't care if people leave comments just to say you're an idiot, or probably worse, because it's still engagement, so the algorithm will still push it to more people. Now, as about what that does to a person's mental health, that's a different discussion, but but you got people who are getting lots of views, and the people that make entire careers out of trying to drum up hate on purpose, trying to create drama channels or whatever. That's not me. I wouldn't do that just because I'm not interested enough in the drama. The person has to come off like they give a shit about the drama, whereas I really just don't. So I wouldn't do it. But you can make quite a good living for yourself. And then you've got the whole Twitch situation, which is an entirely different problem. You can't use the no bad words. There are some bad words, sure, that you just definitely shouldn't use, the ones that are phobic or racist or whatever. But there are some that aren't those things, that could be considered inflammatory, but it's just kind of strange that you can't use them. Now, I don't use them anyway, so you might say, well, you don't use them, why do you care? Because it's spooky to me. Like, how far does that go? You don't want to get to the situation where people are too scared to say anything, right? But if you're not allowed to, for example, harassment, that's good. You shouldn't be allowed to harass people. That's obviously bad. But what counts as harassment? Do you know, is saying something negative about someone considered harassment? Obviously, right now the answer is no. But how far does that go? My mind runs at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, so I concern myself with all this random shit that doesn't matter and will never affect me. But I still like occupy my brain meat with it. But as for YouTube, let's talk about what's going on with there. The whole thing's kind of screwed, right? Both Twitch and YouTube are so saturated, and so many young people, it's not their problem, but they like playing games and they want to become like a Twitch streamer or a YouTube streamer or a YouTube video maker. But the likelihood that just by engagement alone you will ever become popular, unless you're producing a very, very specific kind of content, is essentially nothing. It might as well be zero. It's like running the lottery kind of odds. Like, it's just not going to happen. And I find myself kind of in that boat right now, where I'm kind of like, yeah, it'd be cool if I could become more popular, but it's not going to happen in all likelihood. And so I have to accept that I've done this for 10 years, over 10 years, and I've never become even semi-popular. And that essentially means that now, if I was going to stop, I would stop. Because there's like a level of... It's just sad. If you can't accept reality, and you refuse to believe that the reality is happening, you kind of deserve what you get. But I've accepted that reality, and I've decided that I don't care. That I'm going to create videos anyway. Fuck. And if people want to support me, then great. And if they don't, then great. I'm going to keep making videos anyway because that's what I like to do. I want to do it. I enjoy doing it. Yes, it's stressful sometimes. It gives me some level of stress because I want to do it well. I don't want to suck at the game. I want to be at least vaguely interesting. And I feel like if more people knew about me and they knew I existed, they could be interested in me. But I don't want to go through the rigmarole of trying to collaborate with people that I don't really like, that aren't my friends, that I don't want to associate with, and because they might not be very good people, and you can't know just by looking at someone if they're a good person or not. And it goes both ways. Maybe they don't actually like me, and I'd rather not someone pretend they like me and then dislike me immensely behind the scenes, and all this social stuff that I'm already not very good at just sort of compounds in my own brain, and I'm just like, oh fuck, oh god, what am I doing? And it just sort of gets worse and worse and worse as I get older. This idea that you never really know what someone's thinking, and even if you ask them, they could just lie. So you would just just ask them, lol. It doesn't really make any sense because they could just lie to you and then you'll never know. But enough about that. This is like, it's a channel update. It's mostly just like a sort of self-therapy session for me to talk about how I'm feeling and what's going on. But this year, in terms of like for me, I'm grateful that none of my family have been personally affected by COVID. My dad lost one of his best mates from work to it. Well, it was actually a complication that led to it, but it's still not great. Luckily, my grandparents have been safe. They've kept themselves to themselves. We haven't got any people in our family who don't believe it's real. I feel so sorry for people who have family like that, who just won't accept the truth, who think it's like a conspiracy or something. It's just a whole mess, really. It let me block people on social media really easily. I'm not a person who blocks people because I am a person who is a proponent of, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but there's a caveat to that. The caveat to you can have whatever opinion you like is, you can have whatever opinion you like if it's not directly harmful to anyone else. So if you have an opinion, not to get too political, but you believe a certain way. You think that in the UK, for example, you think the Conservative government is doing a great job. I don't, but say you do. that's fine, because you can have an opinion. As long as you're not like becoming derogatory about it or hurting anyone's feelings, then I don't really care. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. It's the same as like believing any other thing, whatever you want to think of. As long as you're not telling me that I have to think the same way you do, you show me a level of respect and I show you a level of respect, and we don't get each other's throats, then I don't mind. Like, I don't block people for that. What I will block people for is, and this has only happened on Facebook, I don't do it on Twitter because it's just too much effort, but people who will just outright refuse to listen to scientific fact. That's what bothers me. People who like believe in a flat earth or other, anti-vaccines or whatever. People who are just damaging society because they believe in their backwards views. There's no scientific proof for what they say, but they don't care. If anything, the fact there's no scientific proof somehow makes them believe it even more, because it must be like everyone on the planet is in on it. That kind of thing. And so people are like, who, say COVID isn't real. That's just like, what? What do you mean it's not real? You must not have lost any family members to it, because it's definitely real. You could argue maybe it's not as bad as people say. I think that it is as bad as people say, but say you believe that it isn't as bad as people say. Okay, it's still bad, but it's not as bad as believing it's outright not real, which is just stupid and asinine. But you've got other people who will just block you for saying anything they don't agree with, which is also kind of weird to me. And I don't want to get into a situation, I'm not going to talk about it much more, but I don't want to get into a situation where you can't say anything ever because you'll get, cancelled. Or you'll be, your job is in jeopardy because of one opinion you have, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, back to me specifically. I'm thankful that no one in my family has been hurt or seriously affected by it, which is very good. And I'm pleased with that. Let's go back down and get this barrel. As for me, I feel like ever since like March, which is weird, I've felt a bit run down and it's never really gone away. But I don't go to the doctors because I don't like to. It's a very stupid mindset, but I don't like going to the doctors because I don't feel like they listen to me. I feel like I have a thing on my form that says, just don't listen to him. He's trying to get drugs or something, which even though I never would. I just have this, I'm a paranoid person. So it's also, like, a lot of it could be psychosomatic. Like, a lot of it could be me in my own head telling myself that this shit is bad, when actually it's fine. But I convince myself that it's a problem, and then it becomes a problem by proxy. Always do that. But yeah, that's one of those things that another one of those things that occupies my brain meat. I think honesty, and no one would watch it, but there's no point. But honestly, I could probably do a podcast where all I do is talk about what the shit goes on in my brain for like an hour and a half. And it would be senseless. It wouldn't make any sense. I landed on the sword. And it would just be incoherent. But I'd try to make salient points if I can. It'd just be called the 1,000 mile an hour podcast, because it would just be me rambling off my thoughts at 1,000 miles an hour that come into my brain that just exist. Because also, as some of you may or may not know, I am on the spectrum of autism. I don't think I'm fully autistic, but I'm definitely on the spectrum. I've got an appointment to the neurologist that will happen. Well, it was supposed to happen like next year, but that was pre-COVID, so it'll probably be 2022 now. Which is whatever, there's like an 18-month waiting list, so I'm glad I'm on it at all. But there's, I've taken so many autism tests, and they're like, yeah, bro, you're probably autistic. And my family are like, yeah, you're definitely autistic. And I know that I see the world and feel it differently to a lot of people. I don't like the term neurodivergent, because it makes me feel like you can just get away with anything. No one can tell you off because, oh yeah, but I'm different, so it's fine. But it's not fine. But then back onto the the whole YouTube thing. we've got, oops, didn't press the jump button. We've got a situation where I kind of feel like I'm stuck. Like, at any point, such as the nature of the thing, I could just stop. Like, at any stage I could just go, yeah, I'm done now, but I don't want to be done, because there's always going to be more games to play. And the way I am now, the only time I ever really play games is when I record them. So it gives me a good chance to play things that I wouldn't otherwise play. And because I'm recording them, I actually finished them because I have to do recordings. Speaking of, because I've got a big upgrade downstairs, I should be able to finish Final Fantasy 15 now and not have it lag out to death and back, but that'll be in the new year probably, when I can have some time on the computer to myself and test it and make sure it's good, because all my family are home for the holidays, so I won't get time to record any meaningful things. I've got, you know, trying to finish the projects I've already got first. So I just have to focus there for a second. Shit. Should have focused a bit more. Yeah, so I can do Final Fantasy 15 again. I do want to finish it because I don't like incomplete things. Sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I'll see a game and think, well, that'll be good, and then I'll do like a few videos on it and not like it and then stop playing it. For example, that happened with Final Fantasy 13 or Final Fantasy Type 0, which is a game that I think is probably actually pretty good, but it's just not my kind of game. It was strangely difficult, but not in the way that I like, and it was just weird to play, and I didn't really enjoy it because it was like a Vita game or a PSP game that they ported onto PC, and you could kind of tell that it was a portable game and it wasn't that deep really, and it was just a bit of a mess. I didn't like it very much. The game is good though. My interpretation of the rule set was a bit of a mess, I should say. Oh fuck, badly timed. And so I just got into this situation where I didn't want to do anything with the game, and so I stopped playing it. There have been a couple of others. FF15 springs to mind, but that was because I couldn't get the recording to work right. It would drop frames all the time, and my computer just wasn't really powerful enough to play it at the resolution I wanted to play it at, and I didn't want to play it at stupid low resolution because I do have, contrary to popular belief, I do have some standards of what the kind of video I want to have is. As long as the sound isn't unhearable, and I've made steps to make that better, so I've improved the sound quality by getting multiple sound levels, so I can change the game sound and mic sound independently, which you think would be easy, but isn't actually that easy. And then I've gone to the trouble of trying to buy new microphones and whatever else to make my life better. I've got to do jumps. I've got to do like running jumps. Alright, so just edited that out there. Yeah, so I've got to, you know, do lots of different things. What was I talking about? I was talking about what I was doing to upgrade the quality of the videos and whatever. I like to record at a resolution that's good. For example, 1080p is basically my minimum right now. When I record upstairs, I only have a 1080p monitor, so I record at 720p instead. But for most of the games I play, which is all things from like 1997, it doesn't matter about what quality you have. But when I play newer games, I play it downstairs, so I record in 1080p, which is, you know, almost borderline not good enough now. But I have a 1440p monitor, so putting in a 1080p window works pretty well, and I'm happy with that. Give me a second. Okay, made it further than before. Ooh, solid, nice. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I've tried to get better microphones and a better computer and stuff to render better and make it better. And it's just, this is basically just my hobby. I just enjoy doing it, so I do it. It'd be nice if you could get some more value out of it for myself, but you know, a better computer is still a better computer, whether I use it for recording or not. So there's always a benefit involved with it. Anyway, I think I'll do this world and then I'll end because it's been over half an hour now. But yeah, essentially I'm just that kind of person who wants things to be better. I used to be way worse with not being able to make any mistakes whatsoever, and I still don't like getting things wrong at all. But I've, you know, sort of allowed myself a little bit more to go, well, literally nobody on the planet is perfect, because if they were, you'd have heard about it by now. We all have our flaws. I have many, character and otherwise, and so to try and be perfect is just impossible. It's never going to happen. So you might as well give yourself a little bit of leeway and not get so upset about every single thing. But I also allow myself to get frustrated because I want to be better. And if you don't have that drive to be better, then you will sort of let yourself coast, which I used to do all the time in school. You just be like, oh, that's good enough. So it's, you just kind of not stop trying, which I don't want to do either. And so I'm in sort of the middle ground where I want to be better, but I'm not going to push myself so hard as to have like a breakdown, because you don't want that to happen. You just want to be like somewhere in the middle where you can sort of express yourself and have a good time, but not be so obsessed with everything. Now, as for the social element, I still need to try and be better with that. I just don't talk to people, and it's a problem. I just don't engage with anybody really. Mostly out of choice. Where's my button? There it is. And so I need to get a bit better at that. Where's my select? I guess I could chuck her in. Oops. Well, I guess I can't chuck her in. Yeah, so the social element I need to get better at, because if I want to be with someone, I don't want to be alone forever. I'm 26 already. I'm nearly officially old, TM. Then you need to do something about that, and I'm not exactly going to go onto a dating site or anything, am I? Look at me. It's not going to happen. I mean, you can't look at me, I haven't got a webcam on, but look at me as a person. Look into my soul. I guess I want to just do that. That's easy enough, right? It's just not going to happen, so I need to try and do something about that. Bonk. Yeah, so that's something I think about a lot too. Like, what am I going to do about the social aspect of things? Because the truth of the matter is, I don't enjoy conversing with people that much. There isn't that much I like talking about. I feel like I'm really awkward as a person, and the sorts of things that other people care about, I don't. So, and the sort of things I would care about, they don't. It's, you know, both ways. I'll talk about, for example, let's talk about Final Fantasy VII or Mario 64 or something for 9 hours. Okay, I'll do that because I care about that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let's learn about this. But other people will be like, yeah, well, what about the weather or the celebrity news or gossip or something else? And I'm just like, not bothered. It might be a generalization to think that that's all people talk about, but that's all people talk about, okay? It's always, you know, what's going on this television show or whatever else, and I'm just like, why do you care? And so instead of being that asshole who in social conversations is like, yeah, but you shouldn't care about the thing you care about because the thing you care about is stupid and the thing I care about is good. I've chosen the nuclear option of just never talk to anyone then, which is not better. I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree that's not better. To just be like, well, I guess conversing is not for me. So I've got to try and be a bit more clever with that sort of stuff. And a bit more open to talk about small talk, and instead of just pretending to be interested, or not interesting, interested. I'm never going to be interesting, but instead of pretending to be interested, actually try to be interested. Like, figure out what it is about the thing that the other person likes, and maybe I can find some sort of common ground, not necessarily in the material itself, which I probably will never like, but will at least understand the emotions they have, or the feelings, or why they do that. But then again, due to the way I am, is that's hard for me too. And then there's the other option that you could just say, well, you could just accept that you're not supposed to talk to people. It's not really what you enjoy. You don't like it, and then so it doesn't matter, right? But I feel like that's not really the way to be. To just be like, oh well, it's hard for me, so I'm not going to do it. It's kind of defeatist, and I am a defeatist, but I'm trying not to be. Damn you, DK Coin, eluded me once again. You just have to... I'm trying to push myself, expand my horizons a bit by bit, and don't let myself get overwhelmed by the enormity of everything. Because life... Not that I'm a scholar or a philosopher or anything, but it's not... there's not that much going on. Like, in terms of what you can affect on the planet, it's extremely little. And so, I should be able to handle the little bit that I am in control in, or at least have more of a grasp on what it is that I can control and what it is I can't control. What elements of life are beyond my ability to do anything about, and what parts are completely in my control to do anything about, and what do I want to do something about, and what do I not want to do something about, and then work from there. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. So for the final part of this video, let's talk about what I want to do. I haven't got any notes, it's just come to my head. Let's do what I want to do for the next year. Next year, it's the same as this year. I want to do a video every day, without fail. I want to look at what I'm doing and what I can do better and how that's working. And I want to try and get new material and new games and new equipment and make everything better. I might try some new things, but probably won't, because it's just not who I am. And I want to try and be a bit more social if I can, within reason. Find things that we can talk about that I actually want to talk about. And keep working and try my best there and provide a service that people like and want to do, and then hopefully become better at the subject myself, so I can feel much more confident in teaching people it. I'm already fine with maths, but I'm not the most able. I want to become like super duper able, because again, just how I am. I overcompensate for everything, so I'm like, well, if I can't be, I want to be the best in the world. If I can't be the best in the world, like, at least I can be fucking really good. So that's where I'm at. And then as for YouTube stuff, I'm just going to keep plugging away, essentially. Any support people give me is really good. I've got a Patreon that I need to post on more, and I don't. But I think if I had more people on it, I probably would do it more, but I can't guarantee that because I haven't got the experience to know for sure. And that would be where people could ask me questions or tell me what games to play and that kind of thing. Already right now I do a thing where all the people on my Patreon get one playthrough a year that I will do. I've got to ask Tio about that actually. What he wants me to play. And that's kind of what I've been doing right now. I've somehow managed to go backwards. Go up here. This is it. Okay. Just gonna try and work my way through this maze real quick. Yeah, so get people to tell me what they want me to play and how they want me to do things. I forget where they want me to go. That's annoying. Is it down here? It is. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to do better in all things, but I especially want to do better in games and getting people to watch. But I'm not going to push myself out there because I don't see the point in trying to like force the issue. It would feel forced. You would be able to tell that I'm not enjoying it or trying to fit into this square hole when I'm a round peg. It's more like I'm a fucking trapezium peg trying to fit in a round hole. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. Just to let people know, essentially. And if nothing else, it's good for me to get this stuff out of my head and onto a video form where people can watch it if they want to, and if they don't want to, then that's fine. But it's just kind of how I'm coming at it. I just want... I'm going to do the solution that has always, not always worked for me, but the solution I've always employed, which is just plug away at the problem, and either it will go away or it won't. There's nothing more you can do than that. And if people want to watch me, then they will. And I've been getting more and more subscribers steadily. I think I gained like, what, probably like 15 over the year. Which to some people, they might actually audibly laugh at that, but it's important to me. It's gone up to like 180 something, which is really cool. So thank you to the people who subscribed. I appreciate that. So, you know, it is progress. It's incremental, but if you're only interested in progress, then if the number go up, then that progress, you know? That's all you can really do. And so I'm going to keep doing those sorts of things. And it's important to also ask, if people are watching this, what would they like to see me play? Of course, it has to be something that I also want to play. You don't want to get... shit. You don't want to get a situation where people are asking you to play, you know, for example, Boshi, or other things that are just going to make you upset. Because they're so ridiculously hard and it's not going to be a fun time for anyone. So it's going to be, you know, games like RPGs or platforming games or racing games or things that I'm actually like playing. But within reason, like for the Patreons, for example, you can ask me to play anything. People have asked me to, well, Tia has asked me to play Crash Bandicoot before, and I've ended up playing all of them. All of them that existed at that time. And other people have asked me to play Mega Man, and I played all of them again. All of the normal ones. So Mega Man 1 through 11. And that was pretty interesting. So that kind of thing, I like doing those sorts of compilation things, if they're not too long. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If anyone has any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them as soon as I can. And thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.